Welcome to South Asia. This is the intellectual YouTube educational channel run by your articulate presenter J. Reddy. At South Asia Maps, I tried to bring South Asia Maps, I tried to bring the heritage, culture, civilization of South Asia, south of Karakoram Mountains, and north of the sacred historic city town of Kanyakumari to our audience in the form of maps, images, and pictures. I appreciate our subscribers to patronize the channel and give your feedback, communication, and spread the channel so that intellectual articulation from the native perspective will be brought to our audience through our channel. As a part of imperialisms, I covered Islam in the other presentation, the language of Islamic imperialism. On the second presentation, I covered the language of Christian imperialism, the lingo, the language they are talking about. We dissected from the perspective of Mahayogi Sri Ram Swarup and Sita Ram Goel ji. In this presentation, I show you both these imperialistic languages next to each other so that the audience will have a very good clarity. A lot of people think Islam is different, Christianity is different. They are not. Islam, Christianity, communism, and European imperialism are one and the same. It has finally fallen on the responsibility of intellectual Kshatriya of modern times, Sita Ram Goel ji, to identify the 8 characteristic features of imperialism and map them. In the coming presentations, I will show all 4 together so that you will have a better idea and appreciation. For the time being, I will show these together which I discussed before, so that you will get a very good clarity and lot of articulation after this presentation. The presentation articulation is mine. I am not like Sita Ram Goel ji or Ram Swarup ji, such towering personalities. Whatever the deficiencies in articulation presenting are mine, but the original thoughts come from them. A serious observer or listener should go to their books and we can study their doctrinal viewpoints of the closed creeds. In addition to this comparison, today I will also talk about common origin of these 2 ideologies, Islam and Christianity, their common hatreds towards non-believers, Kafirs or Heathens or Gentiles. They are monolatrous, they are monotheisms, they are prophetic. They say somebody has revealed to them the prophet. Like Muhammad or Jesus Christ are a favored intermediary of their unique, unscrutable entity, God, Yahweh or Allah. The concept, the God is very jealous in their theology. He doesn't tolerate other gods. The God is militant. In the modern lingo, if you want to use it, you can say terrorist God or a godling. But I try to desist to use that type of lingo and still make our point very clear to say the God is jealous, the God is militant. They just seek outward expansion of the community and the land. They are conversion based. They have no concept of inward journey, inward exploration, inward spirituality. Mahayogi Ram Swarup calls them the religions of raga and dvesha. In Sanskrit, raga means the love, anuraga. Dvesha means hate. They love their religion, God book so much, and they hate other gods, other religions, followers of other religions so much. Hate they show. That's why they are the religions of the raga and dvesha. Hinduism, Buddhism are the religion of prajna. That means the wisdom, the thinking. That's the major difference. I will talk in other presentation in detail somewhere. They are only political outward expansion with zero spirituality. They are imperialistic in aggression. They have the concept of chosen people, Christians and Muslims. They have the concept of chosen enemies also. They chose it. The non-converts didn't choose them as their enemies, but they chose it in their theology. Chosen people, chosen enemies. They have the doctrinal affinity, we'll see here together, and they have a historical conflict. They say they came from Judaism, then Christianity came, then Islam came. This is a facile, superficial, simple presentation, simplistic presentation by the scholars or Western thinkers. No. Christianity hijacked from Judaism concept God called Yahweh and turned into a militant monster, conversion based. And Islam also tried to hijack it and used it nominally when it established itself seriously as a military power in Arabia. It discarded them. Sometimes still he is kept as marginally in the Islamic theory. It's a hijacking. In the native or yogic perspective, is not from Judaism, then came Christianity, then came Islam. This is superficial, simplistic explanation by Western scholars or thinkers, of which Swarup, Sita Ram Goel differ. That is our presentation. And audience can judge it and they can have their own opinion. Their deluded beliefs, their closed creeds, their hate-filled ideologies. And issue is not believers, Christians or Muslims and Hindus, no. The belief itself is a serious issue for the people who are not in this belief system. The converts will see how they are trying to erase the past, the concept of ideonation, poisoned minds, asahaja or unnatural religions, aggressive, hegemonic, imperialist at heart. Conversion brings alienation. Converts are hostile to the parent body. We'll discuss about it. The Islam and Christianity lingo asks for divinely ordained immunity. They should not be criticized. The God is ordained, you have to follow it. And shut off from the inquiry. We don't follow into the trap they have set. We have our own mindset and we present our own mindset to every thinker, and the audience can make a judgment. Their pretentious and self-righteous ideologies. This is in brief. We are going to discuss today a very fascinating presentation. I will bring to the audience perspective. Intellectually oriented audience can understand what is the Christianity and Islam, how they are similar, how they are little different after this presentation. Excuse me. As we have seen earlier, intellectual Kshatriya of modern times, Sita Ram Goel ji has discerned 8 or 9 characters of imperialism. Imperialism is an idea where a particular country or society try to dominate, even rule other countries and societies and impose their culture and their viewpoint on other countries and cultures. That is, in general, imperialism. We are aware of imperialism in Asia, Africa, and Americas, and they are political in nature. A lot of people think about in India like French imperialism and British imperialism, in Americas, Portuguese imperialism, Spanish imperialism. What Western scholars and thinkers have not articulated is Islam and Christianity themselves are imperialistic ideas. They're thoroughbreds. They are propagated under religious lingo and banner. A lot of people miss it. And scholars in the West only presented political and social imperialism like British imperialism or Russian imperialism like that. This what a missing point. Swarup, Sita Ram Goel ji analyzed this religious based excuse me, imperialism. The imperialisms have 8 characters. They have like inscrutable entity, which we do not know, nobody saw it, is inscrutable, is a vague, is a virtual, somewhere he sits there, inscrutable. And they have incomparable person. That person, whatever he said or did, we have to accept on the face value. You cannot even criticize this. Incomparable persons. And they divide the human history into two parts. They divide the mankind into two parts. They divide the land on which the humans reside also into two parts. They divide. They banned these people who accepted this ideology as believers, and the rest who have not accepted this ideology are non-believers. They mandate the whole earth to their leader, and which they guard to which the God, their inscrutable entity, bequeathed and prescribed a jihad or a crusade on the non-believers. They see the inevitabilities of the triumph of their belief system and defeat of the belief system of non-converts. They have a high degree of self-righteousness, and they accuse a lot of crimes of the native people from their theological perspective, and we'll map these things together and see now. Excuse me. First, unscrutable entity. Unscrutable entity nobody has seen, as we discussed. In Islam, that unscrutable entity is Allah. In Christianity, he is Yahweh. The name is just changed a little bit. So, both are the same. So, both have unscrutable entities. You have to believe them, and they are marketed or imposed or presented by salesmen as a gods. These are unscrutable entities. Because they are gods, you have to follow them. They are unscrutable. Nobody can go and verify them, whether they exist somewhere, how they look like, and what is their paradise or anything. Unscrutable. They are just denizens, residents. They are domiciled only in their hate-filled theological books, Al-Quran, or their biblical literature. Nowhere they exist. And they have incomparable persons. That incomparable person, in case of Islamic imperialistic lingo, is Prophet Muhammad, born in Mecca in 530 or so, passed away normal death in 632, whereas Jesus Christ, he is supposed to be born in 1 AD and crucified, but essentially later, excuse me, European scholars, historians found he is just a fictitious character. No such person existed at that time, or any person coming close to what is called by Jesus Christ by the historical research, carbon dating techniques, and all those modern scientific things. So they're the same. The names are little different. This incomparable person which they present as their totem that you have to follow is Jesus Christ here, and Muhammad is here. The history of the mankind by these religions is divided into two parts. Anything before the birth of Muhammad is called Jahiliyya. In case of Christianity, this is Arabic term, saying the same thing in Arabic, Jahiliyya. In case of European languages, which English is most commonly we use, it's called period of darkness, a darker period where there's no civilization, nothing like that, the dark ages. So before the birth of this person or birth of this person, everything is a dark period. After the birth of this person, this incomparable person, in case of Islam is called Illam. Illam means again a Arabic word, light. It's a period of light, and everything is great, and their doings and their culture, their languages, literatures, they're glorified. So these imperialistic languages of Christianity and Islam, the same. They divide the history into darker period, that is Jahiliyya, and lighter period, that is the Illam. It's the same. The words are different, language is different, that's all. They divide the mankind. These ideologies, their lingo divides the mankind into two parts. Momins, people who accepted this dogma originally, when they were imposed, they have no choice by the source men of Islam in Mecca and Medina, Hejaz in Arabian Peninsula, are called Momins. The preferred term is Mussalmans. Western term for that is Muslims. And there are Momins. And their children, descendants, raised, indoctrinated in these closed societies. Now there are nearly 40 plus Islamic countries in the world. The humanity, others who didn't know about this ideology are the people who are born before this ideology, where this inscrutable entity, incomparable person were not known, are called Kafirs. It's not just a delineation. It is an extremely hate-filled ideology. If you read from the original source, Kuffar and Kafirs is so Islamic scholars fulminate, to fight against them, convert. It's unimaginable. How can a human being mind behaves like that? You have to read the original literature of the scholars, not the latest apologetic versions. So Kafir is not just saying others are not believers. No, it is not like that. It's a hate-filled theological term. In case of this ideology, it's a sister ideology, Islam's sister ideology, or Islam is the sister ideology of Christianity, because Christianity came first, it was imposed 300, 400, 600 years before. Same thing, the converts are given a new identity, new denomination called Christians. And the rest of the people it calls Gentiles or Gentus, like that. Heathens, essentially. Non-believers or infidels. These are the fidels. Fidelity means the belief, ideology, you believe. The remaining people, infidelity, infidels. They divide the entire Earth into two parts. You have only one planet Earth with 6 plus continents. It divides into two parts. In case of Islam, is called Darul Islam, where Islam originated, where Islam came first on the earth, Arabia, and later where Islam held its military power, Darul Islam. The rest of the world is Darul Harb, non-Islamic. Still a lot of countries in Asia, like India is Darul Harb, Israel is Darul Harb, China is Darul Harb, Russia, European countries, South America, Darul Harb. The Christianity does the same thing. It called the Holy Land, where their icon, their hero, their fictitious character, incomparable person, Jesus should have supposed to have born Bethlehem or Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria. This like 30-40 kilometers this side, that side of Jordan River is called Holy Land. Everything else is non-holy land or heathen's land or non-believers land, Gentus land. It's the same. The words are little different, that's all. Holy land in case of now Christian converts is not also there, but because where it is established by the military might was first in Europe, in Rome. So it is also considered their culture, civilization, languages are held esteem by the converts in Asia, Africa. Of course, in North America, Europeans of the discoveries went and settled there. So almost it's like a European society. So divides the land into Darul Harb, Darul Islam, divides the land into Holy Land and Heathen Land. It's the same. Same but different words, different languages. The bands them together as a one group. All the converts who accepted or forced or born in this are called Momins, believers. Whether a person is a Berber, is an Arab, is a Persian, is a Azeri, is a Turk, or a Uzbek, is a Pashtun, or Punjabi, Gujarati, or Moro Muslim, or Uyghur Muslim, their language, their culture, their land, their ethnicity, their linguistic features, their racial feature doesn't matter. All they are artificially branded as an entity, ideation, as a Momins, believers. And they were put and encouraged and thrown against what they chosen as the Kafir societies, non-believers, non-converts. Christianity does the same thing. So you see the priests and prelates and pastors coming and telling so many Christians everywhere in the world, Americans, Germans, French, and so they show as if they are one. Are there won the really? If they're won, why in Europe so many wars, so many conquerings? No, this is artificial entity. They are trying to band together, give a brand name, and put them against the native people, their land, for colonization, conversion purpose. No spirituality is there. Artificial entity called all Momins, all Christians. In every day there are madrasas, maktab, the churches, they are indoctrinated. You go to any temple in India, from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, you never told you belong to a religion called Hinduism. You never told you belong to a religion called Buddhism. That is not there, that alienation, because these are the spiritual ideas. They don't indoctrinate you. Hindus belong to their land or local, their caste, something like that. They don't belong to a religious group. This is imposed on them. Now they are in disadvantageous position. Ram Swarup says Hindus and Buddhists has to alienate their children, sons and daughters, because you are living with these highly indoctrinated, alienated militant groups. If you don't have that alienation now, you will be in disadvantageous position and you will lose your lands, and eventually you will be converted and your heritage will be erased from the planet Earth. That's a very important feature you have to keep in mind. See, the whole earth, according to Islam, was mandated by Allah, created it. And once He created, He gave it to Prophet, mandated, because Allah decided finally send His revelations to His Prophet. We don't know what that mouth was such great, but He decided, Islamic theology say, He decided to use the mouth of the Prophet to publish His revelations. And after that, He has given the entire land. This entire earth was mandated to Prophet Muhammad. After his death in Mecca, 632, it was bequeathed to the Ummah, to the Muslims, to the Millat. Millat means militant group. In Christian theology, Christian lingo is the same thing. Yahweh created this entire earth, the planet, mandated to His only Son, Jesus Christ. After His crucifixion in Levant, that is today's Israel, He bequeathed to the church. They built the church, a group, essentially like a broader term, entire Christian community. So now it's the responsibility of Millat, responsibility of the church to grow and convert everybody. The Millat has to wage a Ghazwa, holy, that is the war. Jihad, eternal. The Jihad is a religious gangsteric war, the war waged by these gangsters, the Vandals. It is given the religious lingo, Jihad. This is also prefixed to be something called holy. There is nothing there. Here a convert is trying to do inward explorations, philosophical thinking, nothing like that. Go and attack the neighbors, the Kafirs or Heathens, convert them and destroy their temples, desecrate their idols, and capture their children and sell them in the slavery, and capture their females and reduce them a concubinage for the Muslims. This is what it is. And Yahweh preaches the same thing. These converts has to plant the church anyway. They are called evangelists. They are called crusaders. Crusading is a militant term, is an aggressive term. In the plain, simple terms, is a war on the native people, innocent people who are just leaving them, their neighbor, their parent body. They are not aware of these hate-mongering theological indoctrination that their fellow converts have undergone. That's what it is. The mandates the earth to the prophet and bequeath to the millat. Yahweh mandate to His Son and bequeath the church. They have to carry this mission now. And this lingo, the language of Islamic imperialism, the language of Christian imperialism, sees the triumph of Ummah, finally, the group, the Millat, the Qawm, the Momins, the Muslims, they will triumph, against and defeat of the Kafirs. They see it eventually. So they started like a small community in Mecca and Medina. They occupied the entire Arabian Peninsula, then Syria, then Romalia, then Maghreb, that means Egypt, to today's countries like Libya and up to Morocco and all those Maghrebian countries, then India, Persia. So final triumph and defeat of Kafirs, it sees inevitability. And church does the same thing. They started small community in Jerusalem, that area, and then all the European countries are conquered. Now all the North American, South American countries are. Once they were Christians, now they are not really Christians, but that's the triumph, defeat of Gentiles, here Hindus, is expected in their theology. The most important thing is that self-righteousness. Righteousness is a sense of smugness. Smugness means you are right. You think like that. Your mind, your thoughts alone right. Everything is wrong. It is a superior feeling you have. It's a sanctimonious system. And they have high sense of self-righteousness. And you can't even talk them. They said, this is the book, this is the right. Everything is wrong because Al-Rahman, Al-Rahim, the merciful and beneficent God, Allah forfeited the lives, liberties, properties, heritage, monuments, artifacts of the Kafirs or Hindus, and Muslims has to go and conquer their land, convert them, erase everything kuffar, that is Jahili culture, and make it Islamic culture. That is a self-righteousness it preaches. Now, Christianity does the same thing. The only God gave His only Son the permit that was inherited, bequeathed to the church. Church has now responsibility. All the lives and properties, liberties of the Heathens, Gentiles, Gentus, here Hindus are forfeited. And the church has the divine mandate, divine responsibility to convert the whole planet. So Pope says, go and everywhere, plant the churches. Highly self-righteousness, it is called, or smugness, we can say, sanctimony. That means the base ideas are masked, disguised, facaded in a high-sounding religious verbs, religious phraseology. That what Mahayogi Ram Swarup says, that what intellectual Kshatriya of modern India, Sita Ram Goel ji, tells in the voice of India think tank. This self-righteousness we have to just to cure. Say common quiet and do not get agitated. Ask simple questions of this. Do not be just carried away because they use the high-flowing lingo. The Bible, the Yahweh, the Jesus Christ, and His only Son, the patriarchs, and all these gibberish words. Just to keep, these are all there in every culture, every religion, not unique to them alone. It's not like other people didn't have them. Other people have even better than this. So the same thing. Allah, Muhammad, Jahiliyya, Illam. The self-righteousness, just to try to cure it. Now, in case of Islam, the greatest crime the humanity is, I mistyped it, is called Shirk, idolatry. Is called sin of Shirk. The Heathens or Kafirs are doing idolatry. They are worshipping the many gods. That is not right. There is only one God called Allah. He revealed to Muhammad. Everybody has to worship. That's the root cause they are fighting. It's called Shirk or idolatry. That's the greatest sin. In case of Christianity, sin itself is a big issue. They are fighting, they are trying to convert everybody because they think everybody is a sinner. For what? They don't explain properly what is sin. If they ask seriously, they say a person committed a small crime or committed adultery, all those type of things. These were there in every society, every ancient society tried to deal with to certain extent with their laws and regulations, moral value. This is normal. This is not considered very big any crime or going and killing large scale the people, converting them. They never do it, but they put it as very vague idea because these are the vague ideologies. They have no idea, and if you pinch them seriously and ask what is sin, they will start telling these sob stories. Just keep in mind, these are simplistic, everywhere it used to be there, and every society, non-Christian, non-Islamic, before them, and still Western societies also trying to tackle these issues in the best way they are, and human civilization is not a perfect one. And even there is no concept of perfect, because 8 billion people are on the planet Earth, everybody thinks different. So that's the important thing. We have to keep in mind accusation of the idolatry, shirk, accusation of sinners, and they're trying to sell their product, imposing it. They have a savior. A savior, Jesus Christ, need a sinner. If the world has no sinners, Christianity has no value. The product won't sell, right? There is no sinner, there is no. So sinners and saviors mutually, they reinforce each. It's called scratching one other's back for complementing each other. That's it, Ram Swarup. Sita Ram Goel says like that. And now we look at the common origin. They are in common in origin. Lot of people in the Western scholars, Western world think first Judaism came, then from it Christianity came, then from it Islam. No, that's not like that. We differ that. It is hijacking. When suppose there is a one company, car company or any brand, they are already popular. You can go and start your own business, entrepreneurship, and make it popular. That's a difficult process. You have to compete with the existing brand, with existing customers. You have to grade them. That's why when the original religion came, these people took the same God. Christianity took the same God that already Jews have certain group, certain community. They established their religion. They are not aggressive people. They are not conversion mongering. Whatever may be, the God is for themselves. If the God sends them to heaven, it's very comfortable, the neighbors. There's nothing wrong. The certain sect thinking they alone go to the heaven and others doesn't go to the heaven, there is nothing wrong. As long as they are not conversion mongering, hate mongering, start fighting with you, start not converting you, that's their issue. That's the religion is for themselves, their children, or whoever cared for that, nothing. Judaism is like that, is not a conversion based ideology. Christianity hijacked Jews' First Testament and put the Next Testament with totally different ideas. The God now turned it militant, is a conversion mongering God, is a hate mongering God, and all those things. So it is like a sense of, they tried to put their legitimate successors, but they're usurpers, they're hijacked it. That's what Mahayogi Ram Swarup in his doctrines on the comparative religion tells. Under the pretext of legitimate succession, they actually did the hijacking. Western scholars has to pay this attention, this criticism, and they have to give their comments or their viewpoint. Islam did the same thing. When the Muhammad started selling this product in Mecca, nobody brought. You read in the Quran, they say Jesus is there. That they call Isa. Moses is there. From the Old Testament of Jews, that's called Musa. All these, just Isa and Musa, they're nominals. Just they're used like a soldiers for fighting. The prophet is the Khatamun Nabi. He is the leader, he is the hero. These are like a foot soldiers coming to help. So he tried to say it's the same religion, that he's trying to success, same Yahweh. He's trying to communicate through him in the form. He changes the name from Yahweh to Allah. All this nonsense local intellectuals of contemporary Arabs felt this is totally nonsense, a deluded belief system. But finally prophet succeeded and he started imposing that as swordsmanship, and essentially that is hijacking the already established God from Judaism and Christianity, trying to rename him into Allah and sold the product. So this is not the natural evolution, this is not natural succession, this is usurpation or hijacking already well established brand name. This the audience has to keep in mind when these guys and come and tell you a lot of Indians. I saw, it's the same, from Judaism, Christianity came, from that Islam came. This is not quite correct. This is the native perspective. This is our perspective. This is the perspective of the victims. You have to pay attention. These religions, the God is jealous, the God is militant, he doesn't tolerate other gods. All other gods has to be replaced by this God. That means all the people who worship other gods has to be replaced, killed, or at least converted to this God. So the aggression is there in the belief there itself, a militant God with militant followers trying to erase other gods and the followers of other gods, Kafirs and Heathens. The ideological aggression starts there itself. You have to pay attention as Mahayogi Ram Swarup points to people. These are conversion based ideologies. And these are the religions of raga and dvesha. In Sanskrit, raga means love, anuraga. You love certain things, your son, child, or certain thing, certain hobby, like that. And also, you see, sometimes you don't like a particular political party or leader, what idea. This not hatred. Hatred is different from not liking. You just don't like it, that's it. If a football fan, you may not like baseball. But this is a concept in Hinduism called dvesha. You hate it so much. Islam and Christianity are religions of raga and dvesha. They love their God so much and they hate other gods so much. Their hatred is unbelievable. Hinduism, Buddhism, Vedic religions are the religions of prajna, religions of wisdom. Prajna means wisdom, religions of talent, religions of intellectual discourse. They ask the questions, you have to be logical, you have to be rational, you can criticize them. They are open for debate and discussion because they are the religions of prajna, wisdom, the Vedic religion. Whereas Semitic religion, Abrahamic religions are the religions of the raga, religions of dvesha. This point we have to keep in mind, and when we study their characters of their language, that becomes very clear if you start thinking from other perspective. So there are imperialistic ideologies, aggressive ideologies, political belief system made for political expansion, going and conquering the next land, going and conquering the next people, expanding the land and expanding their party members, that means Christians and Muslims. There is no spirituality, there is no inward journey, there is no internal exploration, there is no philosophy or nothing like that. These religions, they have doctrinal affinity. As we seen here, they are one and the same. Their names are little different. Their doctrines of one God, one jealous God, one community, one life, and one hell or one heaven, and one hatred against their non-converts or parent body. They have the doctrinal affinity, but they have a historical conflict. Why the historical conflict means? You have, let's say, a population that resides as a religion, and this religion comes in and it needs to get the converts. That is, where are the converts? The local people. So you become automatically enemy to them. So previously, when Islam, Judaism was there, when Christianity came, the Jews were there. Jesus tried to convert them, and they were mesmerized by these sayings, as the Bible says. They were just relaxed, they are neutral, they were just nonchalant, they were not even interested by his fulmination. So he eventually turned into against them and start converting some Jews, some local people. When Islam came, it's the same thing. Already converts were there, some Jews, some Christians, and they have to get the converts again. So the conflict came because they need to get more converts, they need to get more land, because now they started from Arabia, now they are the prominent, like 50 countries or so, Muslim countries. So, and Christian countries are also so. Even though they have the doctrinal affinity, they have the historical conflict, that we should have a clarity about it. This is not the natural evolution, this is a hijacking usurpation. They are the deluded belief systems. They are closed. They are closed means you cannot discuss them because you have to accept them in the face values. A closed circle. You cannot discuss, you cannot debate. These are the closed ideologies, closed creeds, you can say. If you say closed religion, the word religion should not be any problem. For discussion purpose, they can use it. The content is important, not the word. They are the essentially hate-filled ideology because they have the concept of the Kafirs, they have concept of Heathens, whereas the native religions like Hinduism, Buddhism have no such concept of Kafirs are non-believers. Hindus think every religion everywhere in the world is good for them and they can follow. If they have something important like yoga or tantra or sadhana or meditation, Hinduism, they can accept it and do it, but they need not get converted for that. So the native religions are not conversion based, they are not hateful, they have really spiritualities to a certain extent. The issue therefore is not Christian versus Hindu or a Muslim versus Hindu or Kafirs, Muslims versus Kafir or Christians versus Heathens. Issue is Islam itself, issue is Christianity itself. We should pay attention and discuss it, debate it, present to our audience and sanitize it and rationalize it and present it to future prospective converts. There is nothing you need to go and join this prison house of hate-filled ideology and tell them you should not lose your parent heritage and culture for this fraudulent aggressive belief system. That's what as a normal person we should do. They are poisoned because they indoctrinate every day in their churches, madrasas, maktabs. They have the concept of the khutbah. Hindus doesn't have anything like that in their temple. They were not Hindus never discuss about the politics or anything in the temple. In the churches, in the madrasas and mosques, they discuss. It's a part of khutbah. The belief system itself is political and as religious phraseology. It is unnatural behavior, unnatural religion. It is asahaja, Ram Swarup says. All the native religions, Indic and Middle Eastern, Scandinavian or Iberic or Germanic, Slavic, they worshipped native gods, native goddesses, rain god, sun god, moon god. They're all replaced by this conversion-based creed. So it's an unnatural belief system, very aggressive, very hegemonic, very imperialistic at heart, and conversion leads to alienation. That's a very important thing you have to keep in mind. These alienated people start fighting with the parent body. They turn very hostile to the parent body. In 47, when the political power was in their hand, Muslims of West Punjab, Sindh and Baluchistan and Sarhad Subah, the frontier, overnight turned extremely hostile to the parent body, that is Punjabi Hindus and Punjabi Sikhs, and overnight erased their parent body and took all over their land. So the converts are very hostile to the parent body, where the convert in Europe also, the converts to Christianity become very hostile to Greek religion and culture. The Roman converts in Rome become hostile to, they erased the entire European culture and the native European religions, pre-Islamic, pre-Christian European religions, pagan religions, to their closed belief system. This today's European people born in them has to pay attention and start rediscovering their past, or at least accept something good in it. That's what Ram Swarup suggests to present European population. One important thing, Mahayogi Ram Swarup pointed out, these terms you pay attention, these ideologies, Christian imperialism and Islamic imperialism, divinely ordained immunity. They have immunity. Immunity means you cannot do anything. They're sacrosanct. You cannot criticize them. They claim divinely ordained immunity from any discussion and debate. That means they are shut off from the inquiry. You cannot ask any questions on them, and you should just take them on their face value. So this is very important. When you talk with them, do not accept their divinely ordained immunity. In their ideology, day to day, in the Christian missionaries criticize the Hindus and Buddhists and Sikhs day and night, and you do not fall into their prescription, their agenda. You start asking the questions. You enter into the debate. Ram Swarup says, we enter. We critique them from our own perspective. We will not operate on the agenda criteria set by Christianity and Islam. We look from our own way. You start looking from your own way. Don't be apologetic. Don't start apologizing. Be apologetic of your history, heritage, and culture. Don't operate on the agenda set by them. Ask questions. Use your prajna or knowledge, viveka, buddhi, and don't purchase their divinely ordained immunity. That means they have shut off from the inquiry. We just start asking the basic questions about their God, about their book, about their Tariq history, what they have done in Europe, what this ideology decimated native cultures in North America, South America, Australia, and so on. They are pretentious, they are self-righteous ideologies in essence. So, these are the Hindu awakening is started by Sita Ram Goel, called Rishi of Resurgent India, passed away 2003, and Maharshi Sri Ram Swarup ji, one of the great yogi after Yogi Aurobindo, who passed away 1950 or so in Pondicherry. He passed away 19. His ideas and thought process encourages the native people so much. He has given a solid foundation to think about these conversion-based aggressive creeds of Islam, Christianity, communism, European imperialism, which are still physically, ideologically, culturally attacking the native civilizations in Africa, Asia, and Europe. These three scholars, called Trimurti of modern time, came to ideological rescue. They give ideological foundations for native people. Now native people can confidently, intellectually talk about this ideology. I am able to articulate this point intellectually because I have studied their works many years. If you start studying them, you will get the point. So they have given ideological protection to the native societies, and native societies which are passed away, pagan Arabs, pagan Europes, and Ram Swarup Sita Ram Goel ji protects them intellectually and highlights the importance they have. So that's the important. And Dr. Koenraad Elst is from Belgium, and he has authored many books, and he's continuing their tradition. He's one of the great intellectual personality. His books are extremely fascinating to read. And I also talked about the imperial language of Christian imperialism before, and the language of Islamic imperialism before, and I highlighted them just only 8 characters and mapped it to Islam. Then we mapped it to Christianity, and today I mapped these two together. That is 8 features: inscrutable entity, incomparable person, human history into 2 parts, mankind into 2 parts, land into 2 parts, banding these people as a one monolithic group, artificial group. And all those 8 points we mapped into Islam and Christianity, and we concluded, even though they are doctrinally similar with one God, and chosen God and chosen enemies, and hell-bound people and heaven-bound people, and common hatreds, they were historically fighting each other to get more converts, more land. This should not confuse it. Christianity is cunningly subversive in India today. Islam still is openly aggressive. That's the only difference. Islam still is crude and rude, because they scoop themselves in the Arabian, this gibberish Quran and Tafsir and Hadith and all those things. They have not opened any intellectual debate has been none, because Christianity has undergone, after Renaissance, intellectual criticism and rationalization. It has tamed. Its extravagant ideas are questioned by the people born in Europe, North America. Now it looks different, and it tries to behave little different. It's not openly aggressive that it used to be. Historically, it was very aggressive, like Islam itself. So 2 important things. Islam is openly aggressive in India today, and Christianity is cunningly subversive. This point you should not forget, because they are essentially the same imperialistic languages whose imperialistic lingo in high-flown languages I have presented to you from the intellectual articulation doctrines that Sri Ram Swarup and Sita Ram Goel ji gave to us. They are the intellectual giants and greatest thinkers in the second part of 20th century from 1950 to 2000, and will continue to explore other imperialisms. We map them to this 8th. The next will be communist imperialism and European imperialism. We also will have one presentation all at one place so that you will have very good clarity. Thank you very much for promoting our intellectual educational channel and bringing this trying to quench the intellectual curiosity of the people throughout the world, in India, outside India, South Asia in maps. Your articulate presenter J Reddy. Please go to the YouTube channel and type J Reddy plus like India or history or South Asia maps like J Reddy. I have already uploaded more than 60 or so videos, each about 30 to 50 minutes or so. Lot of knowledge I have put in for audience so that you can benefit from that and you can be more articulative in your conversation, in your daily lives. Even if you're a student, you can get lot of knowledge looking at my videos on Punjab region and Punjab history, lot of the videos on treaties, videos on battles, and many things I have in mind. And again, I thank you and look forward seeing you in other presentations, and thanks for your promoting our intellectual educational channel, South Asia in Maps. South Asia in Maps, and this is J Reddy. See you later.